What's up YouTube, Barcode here. Today I bring you another DHC video. This video is going to be an explanation on my Nat 4 tier list that I created and put up on Reddit yesterday. I just want to point out, because I have a lot of discussion with a lot of people, this tier list is literally based off of overall performance in every single content of the game, whether it's Elder Drake 10, which is Forest, Steel Widow 10, which is Fire, PvP, 5 vs 5, etc. Every single aspect of the game. It's mainly for free-to-play players or close to free-to-play players that can be, so that they don't waste resources or make mistakes building characters when they may have another character of a different element and you could use their resources towards building that one. Obviously, in my tier list, compared to others, like I know Claytano made a tier list, and I'll get to that later. There's the elements and everything that's put into my tier list is literally on every single content of the game. They're not based on individual skill or just individually. Like I said, it's all about overall content in the game. So let me get started on that. I'm going to go with the S tiers, and then I'll probably just keep it to the A tier list and maybe the B tier list. And I want to point out that in the top right of my Nat 4 tier list, there is a key pretty much saying that S is useful everywhere, every single aspect of the game. Yes, they are mainly light and dark monsters because they are neutral elements and you can take them anywhere. The A grade is many uses. You can take them to many different aspects of the game and the content that's been given to us by Gameloft. B is useful in certain areas. Even a C, which is on my list, orange, it's situationally used. They're still decently good to build if you're focusing on one single aspect of the game, such as Elder Drake 10, Forest Naga. Don't get me wrong, but you would use Forest Naga in Elder Drake 10, but would you take him to Steel Widow 10? Maybe, if he is tanky enough, if you have good support teams, but optimally for best resources for free-to-play or close to free-to-play players, that's why I grade it the way I do. I also state that I state it in the top right, usefulness overall is calculated regarding floor 10 of Elder Drake and Steel Widow, Blitz, Arena 5 or 5, etc. They're not calculated just by skills and stats alone. Just read the fine print, and I don't mind criticism and discussion about the game, because I do love this game and the content that I bring. But don't get me wrong, I mean, everybody has an opinion, but just let's stick to that, okay? So let's start with the S tiers. First S tier on my list is actually Light Basilisk, okay? So Light Basilisk is a tank character. Now in Elder Drake or Steel Widow, you don't necessarily need a tank character. However, as a tank, he does bring skills and utility to your team that is useful in pretty much all areas of the game. He brings immunity to himself and nearby allies, lowers defenses, stuns, so when the minions come out during Elder Drake or Steel Widow, he can stun them. Yes, in Steel Widow, you kind of want to kill Steel Widow optimally before the lasers come out or something like that. So, but he brings so much utility to the game, even as a tank character. So he is good to build if you do pull him. Next would be Light Candy Munchkin. So Light Candy Munchkin, Lemon Drop. Amazing damage for high HP monsters, and she is light element, so you could take her pretty much anywhere. Auto attacks max HP of the enemy, raises her own crit, so you can build her for crit damage a lot easier than others. The ultimate is based on enemies max HP, and she brings an attack raid leader to boss raids. So she's just great to build and does a lot of damage on bosses. The next would be, and in my opinion, the best Nat 4 in the game. It would be Dark Snake Lady, if I can find her, which she should be right here. Okay, Jansha, the mage. So all the typical Snake Ladies have the same deal. Cast Mark on the enemy, and then her serpents will spit venom at the enemy whenever another skill is cast. of ongoing damage. So she's not only putting ongoing damage on the boss with that, but her ultimate also applies 3 stacks of ongoing damage. So she can literally, at least, depending on her gear, she can at least put up 6 stacks with it before they start falling off. She's just a great boss killer, and if you pull her, you pretty much have a great Elder Drake 10 and Steel Widow 10 monster champion. My last and final S tier will be Dark Timekeeper, and fortunately I was able to pull him. So Timekepers are great. The auto every 6 seconds, an auto attack will lower the skill cooldowns of nearby allies by 1 second, which is amazing. He strips 2 buffs from the enemy, so it's great in Widow. I know a lot of people use Water Timekeeper in Widow. If you pull Dark Timekeeper, you can use him instead. Ongoing damage on his 3rd skill, and he also blocks buff and mortal wounds on his ultimate. So he's just a great. He has a lot of utility and does really good damage. So if you get to pull him, that is great. Let's start with the A tiers. So the A tier, Candy Munchkin, pretty much like the same thing as Light, and you can take her to Steel Drake, and you can take her, Steel Widow, and you can take her to Elder Drake. Pretty much the same deal, just the water element. Enemy max HP, raises his own crit. The ultimate doesn't deal damage on the enemy's max HP, however it does lower damage in an area of effect. So she's just great. A lot of people use her as a farmer too, put her on Vampire, and she's a great farmer. Next A tier would be like Dino Kid. So like Dino Kid, I feel like has a great, it's neutral element, light, has a great skill set, does a lot of damage, has tons of utility, stuns, slows, lower attack speed, and fear. And having someone like that doing a lot of damage and in the back line not getting hit is very good for PvP, Blitz, etc. So that's why I have him as an A tier. Next A tier would also be the Dark Dino. He's stun locking king from range, so it's just nice to have. Marks enemies to do more damage and does bonus damage to depending on his max HP. So you kind of want to build him a bruiser. Maybe attack, crit damage, HP, something like that. Or you could just go straight attack, and just the HP percentages from the subs could help with the damage. So another good light and dark pool. So let's go with the Light Naga for an A tier. Light Naga, and the Nagas have been, a pretty good discussion with a lot of people that I've had over Reddit and Discord. But Light Naga is a great support. Has Disorient, regenerates the team, which is a great, backup healer, and then lowers attack. Good for lower attack if you're not using, Forest Valkyrie, for example. You could put Light Naga into Forest Valkyrie's place and use him for both Steel Widow and Elder Drake. Another one would be the Dark Naga. Great arena support with the strip and shield. Could be used as Widow support. So the Dark Naga has a blind, shields himself with all allies, which is the same skill that the Forest Naga has. Blocks buffs and removes all buffs, so can strip the Steel Widow buff from from her. So it's just a good idea to have. So while I'm on to the Nagas, I did rate Forest Naga a C. Now on my tier list it is orange. I always say on my tier list that orange isn't like first to build, and that's just because he's only good in maybe PvP arena, but also in Elder Drake 10. Putting him in Steel Widow, he'd be really tanky to have. So has the ongoing shield, lowers attack, the ultimate is great, but it is on a long cooldown. But it lowers attack, applies a mark, and the thing with this is there's many other characters that are better for Steel Widow, or Elder Drake, like the Snake Ladies who already apply a mark. So that's kind of why my thought process was he's only situationally used depending on your team composition, and my tier list is always dependent on team competition when I think about that. So just, that's the reason why I graded him a C. He could be debatably a B, maybe I'll change it over time, but that's the reasoning. So let me go to another A tier. Let's do Snake Lady Water. So Stella. Now all the Snake Ladies are great, okay, and there was discussion about not giving them the love that they deserve. However, like I said, my tier list is based on all content, and in my opinion, besides the dark, the water Snake Lady, or light, obviously, water Snake Lady is the best of the three normal elements, better than forest and better than fire. Why? Because you can take her to both Elder Drake 10 and you can take her to Steel Widow 10. Oh, that's not, Stella is not the Snake Lady. What am I doing? There she is. And I actually have her too, and I use her in both. So, typical ongoing damage Snake Lady. Just all Snake Ladies are great. The light and the dark are obviously better, but dark being the best. But that's why a lot of people love Forest for Elder Drake 10. However, you can just take the water one and use her in both situations. So that's kind of why my tier list is the way it is. Let's go with my next A tier, and that would be Water Esper. So let me find Water Esper. There she is. Okay, now she's also another tank, and I wish more of the tanks had the provoke skill, so you could actually tank as a tank, and I feel like that's missing from a lot of tanks, but that's a whole different story. So she has a lower attack on her 6th attack. She has a slow and a stun for the minions that come out. She grants a shield that removes buffs from the enemy. It's pretty much like an aura around her. And then she has a silence. So she has a lot of utility. You can use her in Arena. You can use her in Elder Drake 10. You can use her in Widow if you need a lower attack. It just depends on team comp. Not optimally you're not going to get 3 Snake Lady pulls. It just depends on the team composition, and that's all I'm trying to bring you is champions that you can use if you don't have certain other ones. So that's that. I have Light Esper as an A. The Light and Darks I have obviously higher on my tier list, and that's just because they're the neutral element. So let's get into the B, and I'll go quickly over the Bs just because they are good to build as well. Just because it's a B and not an S or an A doesn't necessarily mean not to build them. You got to look at my key on my ranking system. Some people might think B it's just a little bit above average in terms of school education grade, but it's not how I rate mine. So it's just by skill level. So let's go over the Bs. Forest Basilisk, he's good in PvP. He has the AoE stun, AoE shield, all skills based on defense, so he's putting out a little bit more damage. So you just build him with defense, which will be right here. And then we have the Water Munchkin. Oh no, I already talked about Water Munchkin. So Candy Munchkin, I did base her. You could put her in Elder Drake if you don't have water, for example. Not Elder Drake, Steel Widow. She has max HP of the enemy on 2 skills and raises her attack speed for that basic skill to do a lot more damage. We have the Fire Dino Kid. A lot of people hate on the Dino Kids, and I don't know why, because I've been testing out the Fire Kid, and he does really good damage. In Arena, he does stuns, mortal wounds, marks the enemy for more damage. It's just all about testing, and obviously I don't have every NAF4 in the world, and I haven't ascended them either. But it's all about looking at the skills, thinking outside of the box, and then later down the line when you pull it, testing the damage. So Dino can put out some good damage. He's ranged, and if anybody gets close, his dinosaur ignores 50% of the damage for more damage. So, you know, crit damage is a good way to build for him, obviously with most damage dealers. Let's go with, let's see, Water Astromancer. Great mid-game when you start building good crit damage. Like I said, it does two shots on ignore defense. So building crit damage really is a must on anything that ignores defense, just to get more damage out of it, from what I tested in damage meters and stuff like that. So let's go with the Fire Naga. Okay, so let's get to the Fire Nagas. I rated Fire Naga a B, just because of the strip. Okay, see, Forest Naga I rated lower just because, you know, it doesn't have a strip. If he had a strip on this last ultimate, I would rate him probably a B, and I might even change Forest Naga to a B. I mean, if I pull him, and I know a lot of people use him, but you know, I rated Fire Naga B just because of regeneration, disorient, and blocks buffs and removes all buffs. I just feel like that is more useful and more content of the game rather than just the AoE shield and just a lower attack and a mark when other people bring marks, for example. And there is other people that bring strips as well, but just the whole kit in general, I feel the Fire Naga is a little bit better. Water Scion. Okay, so Water Scion is a free monster that's given to you on your, what is it, 6th day login or 7th day login or 5th, whatever the case may be. He's actually pretty decent in 5 vs 5, and he's your first 5 vs 5 Nat 4 character unless you summon one. If you know how to poke, he does a lot of damage, and I will be doing a 5 vs 5 how to MOBA type of video coming in the near future. However, you know, because a lot of people don't know how to MOBA, because they're more into monster collection type of games, I feel like that's a good video for a lot of people. But he does a lot of damage, and you know, if you play him right, and he can pretty much solo mid by himself, or even solo lane, which a lot of people might not even know what I'm talking about. But so let's go with next, the Scanned Warlord. All the Scanned Warlords are pretty good. And I have Forest, and I actually rated Forest the lowest. However, he's still really good. But in all over usefulness, I feel like, you know, Forest is where you can use them Elder Drake 10, but just the skill set and everything like that, that's how I rated them. I rated them pretty much all a B. They're all useful and all good to build. These tanks have a damage over time, ongoing damage effect. It only applies 1 stack, but it's on low cooldown, so literally that 1 stack is always up. The fire one also marks, so good for, you know, if you don't have a mark applying champion, just good to have. Let's go with the Snake Ladies. Like I said, every other Snake Lady besides Water, Light, and Dark, so Fire and Forest, I rated them a B. Okay, and yes, they can be considered an A, but that's not the tier list that I run. I run overall content, so useful in certain areas and not many useful. So Fire, Steel Widow, Forest, Elder Drake, ongoing damage monsters, does a lot of damage. They're all great. Okay, there's others that are better in overall content. All right. So after the Snake Ladies, there is the Espers. I actually rated, a lot of people hate on the Espers, but I think they bring a lot of utility. You know, Fire she's like a frontline buff stripper with stuns, fears nearby enemies, has an attack break. Forest, she's a good frontline for Drake, Elder Drake 10, decent in arena, but not really any use besides that. You know, for Drake, she has a lower attack, has a shield and damage reflect, lowers attack speed. So, you know, could be a front line for tank if your champions are dying before Drake, obviously. And if you need an attack break for Drake and you want an F4, there you go. Dark, you know, Dark actually is a great 5 vs 5 champion in team fights. Solo, not so much. But if she's in a team fight, she's the frontline tanker for 5 vs 5 that you want on your team. She just has so much damage mitigation, damage reflection, crowd control. But other than that, it is a tank. But team fights is where it's all out. End game 5 vs 5 when people know exactly how to MOBA. She's a great. I did rank the light Esper, a Nat 5. Tons of utility. AoE defense break. She's a buff stripper, attack break, fear. You could use her just because of all of her utility. The strip, the lower defense, the lower attack. She could be used in Drake or Widow if you would want that. And then we have, last but not least, the Fire Timekeeper. So Fire Timekeeper, again, if you match him with other Timekeepers, the lower skill cooldown is nice. I feel like Fire is actually a little bit better for Arena, just because of the AoE stun and does a lot of damage. The heal removes debuffs from allies, strips the out enemies buffs, just good to have. So, and the rest is C's and D's, and you can kind of just look over the tier list and have your own opinions on those. So I do want to talk about the drama that happened today with the whole Claytano issue, and a lot of people were asking what my thoughts were, my subscribers anyway, and I'm a nobody. I mean, I just literally started recording 2.5-3 months ago, maybe. However, this is a business, and Claytano had tons and tons and tons of subscribers. Isla Grown had tons and tons of subscribers, and Gameloft was smart. They sponsored them, they put them under contract, and they had them show content of their game. Now, like I said, this is a business. They should be getting free stuff. They should be getting 1,000 energy. That's fine. Yes, it gives them an advantage, but they're showcasing and bringing players to the game, and that's how sponsorship works. However, the free Nat 5s of no RNG summoning ever definitely was wrong. Gameloft knows that. Sean has said it multiple times, and others have said it multiple times in the chat from Gameloft. They're trying to fix the problem. People need to chill and stop talking about refunding. They just need to let Gameloft handle it, compensate the players for however they want to, but it does need to be reasonable. I mean, my opinion would be maybe 1,000 gems or something like that. I mean, this is a big concern to the players. Lowers our trust with the company, lowers our like or dislike for the company. So the players definitely need to be compensated. Maybe 1,000 gems, for one premium pack, and the rest energy, or however anybody wants to spend the 1,000 gems. If it's just full energy, whatever the case may be, I feel like that would be the best bet for them. But I'm not going to go too onto it in my opinions, but that's how I feel. So thanks again for watching the Nat 4 tier list. I'm going to put the description in my link. It's also on Reddit. Please like and subscribe. Hit that bell to get my notifications. My next video probably will be on how to MOBA in lane. So just, be lookout for that, and have a good day. Bye.